start on 10th position. You're going to need a bar. And the rhythm is a dotted chord note followed by 2/16ths, right? So you have to think, right? So again, 2 grabs the F sharp, right? Then you change to 7th position. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. You went from 7th position, so 1, 2. Doesn't give you much time, but fortunately you have that E at the beginning of the last measure of that first system that lets you jump over to first position. Use that E on the beginning of the second system, measure 5, to get yourself to 5th position, right? And you're going to use 2 for your C sharp, right? So right? So now if we actually start that whole part and put it a little bit on the slower side at tempo without interruptions, and rest. Second position, and then 2 and 3, right? As easy as taking off 2 and 3. Then 1 and 3. Then jump to 7th position for that measure 10. You're going to use your pinky right there on the 9th fret to change yourself slightly over to 6th position. Right? I changed the fingering a little bit. Right? So here I cheated a little bit. There's a B there that I played open, and I managed to play my A on the 3rd string, which is a better cheat, right? So on 7th position, if we do that tempo, right at 10, ready, and so let's talk a little bit about that last part. Sorry, I just played through it. Very tempting to do, right? So right after that measure 10, you land here on, right after 4, instead of 4, 1, I think it's easier to just say 4, 2, 1, then open B. And I like to use a lot of hammer-ons and pull-ups for this very quick 16th note passages. Right? So the difficulty here is knowing at a glance right away. Of course, you're going to practice this, right? But as you're reading through this, just remember, sometimes you're just doing repeated, and sometimes you're actually doing a descending or an ascending scale, right? Right? Then on the 2nd string, then now here, pay attention. I drew the spectacles in there at the end of that 4th system. Notice that I'm also grabbing it as a bar here on the 2nd fret, right? So that I can grab that A right away. All right. So moving along, you have 5 measures of rest. Then we move on. right? So talking a little bit about this, not too difficult. I would primarily play this on second position. And so if we were to count that measure right there, right? So it's the last measure of the fifth system. So you play on the end of 3 and the end of 4. So and then you have the run, right? That part is straightforward. Then this is all straightforward as well. Three measures of rest, then quarter notes, and then you are going to jump all the way to ninth position, right? So. Right, this is not foreign to you. This is the same thing that we did over here in the second position, right? Where 3 and 2 are there on the second and third string. You're just now on ninth position. Then grab the F sharp right there on the third string, so that's the 11th fret. And remember, you're playing 16th notes first. And I would use A, I, P. Sorry I don't have all my cameras right now, right? Right, so. Then use the E to get yourself closer to first or second position. And here we have to talk about what's going on in 35. So let's start with the pickup to 35. So 3 and 4. Coming out of measure 34, you have a pickup to 35. It's tempting to go up the neck, get on fourth position, but you would pay for that. You are going to have to go to fourth position, but it's best if you start right there on second position. So 3, 4, 3, 3, 1, then shift. So what happens here? You have a very fun shift on measure 36. But the reason why I'm asking you to start on fourth position is so that you can connect what you had before, right? 3, 4. Right? You have this F sharp here. If you would have actually gone over here, the F sharp would be over here. And it's right directly above that B that you need to play right after it on 35. So I think it behooves you to start that on second position. Right? That is just after the first 4 16th notes of measure 36. And then you start on the G sharp again, but bring your pinky to the A on the 5th fret of the first string. Right? So you immediately so a little bit slow. Right, so if we actually put it all together, let's say that we start on right on measure 31. Don't let that measure 40 catch you by surprise, right? You have a C sharp there on the 2nd fret, and right away you need to have that A. So you might as well just pluck the last C sharp, or if if you're sure of your barring, but I would just pluck it. Moving on, you have two measures of rest. Going after 42, you're starting on second position, right? You're grabbing the D on the fifth string because you have an F sharp, right? And bass turn. So, chord notes. Chord notes. Right? So if we dissect it and we go back, take it a little bit slower so we can understand the rhythms, particularly measures 44 and 45, right? There's a lot of syncopation going on in there. So even if we go, say, 42, right? Chord notes, eighth, 8/16. Now here's where it goes down, right? So you have eighth notes, 2/16, then eighth notes, and then you have one more eighth notes right on three that is juxtaposed against a quarter note that plays into the first half of beat 4. So right there on 54, so you have to be careful not to rush because that little passage, right? It really makes you feel like rushing, right? But it's right on time. It feels so much better when it's in time. When it's on time. Then I would just grab that on 7th position, 1 and 2 for the B and the G. 5th position, and then you're back to 7th, and 3 and 2 is the same configuration you had earlier, right? Bar, 2 and 3, and then you're going to take them off, right? Off. Bar on the 5th, 1 and 2. Then that's actually a very simple scale. Right? So let's just say that we take it on 59. Then you have 3 measures of rest, and then you have a figuration that is pretty much eighth notes and then quarter notes. It gets more interesting on measure 70, right? Where you have again 1E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and 3 and. So he just really repeats that pattern. And on 72, you're going to actually have a very complex one. Well, it's just quarter notes and eighth notes, but how he just puts the syncopation in there makes it really interesting, right? Let's just take it in order. Right on 70. Well, actually, no. Let's go back to 66. You probably want a crescendo. Notice that I grabbed the E on a different string. It really feels better because it's a third interval, right? And it outlines whichever chord you have in the other parts coming in. It really heightens that sensation, right? So. 780, you're almost home free. But let's talk about what we just did here. So I think it's pretty straightforward starting on 70. One and two and three and four and then on the second string, then instead of grabbing that F shear, grab it over here on the 7th fret with the 3rd finger. So I'm having you shift to 5th position a little bit earlier, right? So right at the beginning of that system, 71, 2, 3, 74. Right, notice that I just moved my finger once back to be in 4th position. Then you're back to second position, D sharp. Right, very interesting measure, right? First the C's are natural, towards the end on B3 the C's sharp, right? 1 and a 2, sorry, 1 and a 2. Right, so on the next measure on 79, you're back to C sharps. So 78. Sharp. And this is a very familiar move, right? Bar with 2 and 3, you're going to take them off on the second half of the measure. Off. 5th position. You can play the D on the 5th string if you want, or play it open. I think I want to because my D is a little bit out. Open B. Right? Then open B. Then you grab the A on 2nd position. So again, right on at the beginning of that system. Right, so here in 85, classic example of this, right? So you have repeated notes and then you have a little descending scale, right? Descending. And I already put the spectacles in there, right? So remember to grab that last C sharp with 1 as a bar so that you're ready for that A on the next measure. And that's the part. Have fun.